Don't touch that. Lena froze halfway down the upstairs hallway, a silver medication tray shaking in her hands. Behind her, Marissa Vale stood beneath the chandelier in a cream silk blouse, her voice calm enough to be cruel. I said, don't touch that. Lena looked down at the pills. Each little plastic cup had Victor Vale's name on it. Morning, noon, evening, all of them already past due. I found this behind the linen cabinet, Lena said. Was he supposed to take these? Marissa's eyes flicked to the tray, then back to Lena's plain black dress. The same dress Lena had worn that morning while picking up the last boxes from the wedding venue she would never walk down. You've been here 6 hours, Marissa said. You are not his doctor, you are not family, you are the caretaker. Lena swallowed. Then why is my name already on this? That was when she noticed the torn care log page tucked beneath the tray. And written across the top, in neat black ink, was an accusation that had not happened yet. Lena Hart had arrived at the Vale mansion with one suitcase, a bruised heart, and no other place to sleep. 4 days earlier, her fiancé, Daniel, had called off their wedding by text. Not a conversation, not even a phone call. I can't marry someone who always needs saving. That was the sentence he left her with. By the time Lena reached the gated estate outside town, she had already returned the centerpieces, canceled the florist, and listened to her old apartment manager remind her that she had given notice weeks ago. So when the agency offered her a live-in caregiver job for Victor Vale, a wealthy stroke survivor, she said yes before asking many questions. The mansion looked like something built to keep people out, tall iron gates, stone lions at the entrance, windows glowing gold against the evening sky. Marissa met her in the foyer without a smile. My father needs routine, she said, walking fast enough that Lena had to hurry behind her. You will not overstep, you will not invent problems, and you will not confuse caregiving with belonging. In Victor's room, Lena found a thin man in a high-backed chair, one side of his face slack, his right hand curled against a blanket, but his eyes were sharp, too sharp for the silence around him. His call button was unplugged. His water pitcher sat just beyond his reach. When Lena leaned in to adjust his blanket, Victor's fingers closed around her wrist. Weak, but urgent. Then he tapped twice against her palm. Tap, tap. What is it? She whispered. His eyes shifted toward the hallway. Later, while searching for spare linens, Lena found the locked cabinet slightly open. Inside was the hidden medication tray, and under it, the torn page accusing her of missing Victor's evening dose before anyone had even trained her. Then the floor creaked behind her. Lena turned. The closet door slammed shut in her face. Lena threw her shoulder against the closet door once. Nothing. The silver tray clattered against the floor near her shoes, pills rattling inside their plastic cups. She grabbed the handle again and twisted harder. Hello, she called. Marissa. Silence answered first. Then footsteps stopped just outside. Lena held her breath. Marissa's voice came through the wood, smooth and distant, as if she were speaking into her phone. Yes, I know. She found it sooner than I expected. Lena's hand slipped off the handle. Found what? The tray, the report, her name. Marissa's heels clicked away before Lena could hear another word. The hallway went quiet again, leaving Lena inside the narrow heat of the linen closet with the smell of dust, detergent, and old cedar pressing around her. She lifted her fist to pound again, then stopped. If Marissa had locked her in, making a scene would only give her another reason to call Lena unstable. Minutes dragged by before the latch turned. The door opened just enough for Nora, the housekeeper, to peer inside. Her gray hair was pinned tightly, but her face had gone pale. You shouldn't be in here, Nora whispered. I didn't lock myself in, Lena said. Nora glanced down the hallway. Lower your voice. Did you know this was here? Lena picked up the medication tray. Victor missed all of these. Nora looked at the labels, then away. That's not my place. It's his health. And this is Marissa's house now, whether anyone says it out loud or not. Nora reached for the tray, but Lena pulled it back. Listen to me. People who question Miss Vale don't last long here. Are you warning me or threatening me? Nora's eyes hardened with fear. I'm trying to keep you from sleeping in your car by morning. That struck exactly where Lena had no armor. Her suitcase was still unopened in the little back room downstairs. Her wedding dress was hanging in a garment bag in Daniel's mother's closet because Lena had not been able to face picking it up. Mutual friends had stopped calling after Daniel told them she had fallen apart. Leaving now meant proving every whispered thing true. So Lena did not leave. That night, after Marissa retired to the East Wing, Lena carried a fresh glass of water into Victor's room. He sat propped against white pillows, his breathing slow, his eyes fixed on her the moment she entered. I need to ask you something, Lena whispered, setting the glass within reach. Do you know why your medication was hidden? Victor's mouth moved, but only a rough sound came out. His left hand trembled against the blanket. It's okay, Lena said. Take your time. His fingers lifted, shaking, and pointed toward the mantel. Lena followed the gesture to an antique clock with brass trim and a cracked ivory face. The clock. Victor tapped twice against the armrest. Tap, tap. Lena stepped to the mantel, carefully lifted the clock, and found a folded yellow sticky note tucked behind it. The handwriting was uneven, pressed deep into the paper like every letter had cost him effort. Watch her. Lena looked back at Victor. Nora. His eyes widened. His hand moved sharply, as much as his body allowed. No. He breathed harder, frustrated, then pointed past Lena. She turned. On the wall was a framed photograph from a charity gala. Victor in a tuxedo before the stroke. Marissa beside him, smiling with one hand resting on his shoulder like she owned the room and everyone inside it. Lena's fingers tightened around the note. Marissa. Before Victor could answer, the bedroom door opened. Marissa stood there in a silk robe, her gaze dropping straight to the paper in Lena's hand. For 1 second, nobody moved. Then Marissa walked in, as if she had caught a child stealing. My father can become confused at night, she said. Paranoid, even. You'll learn to document those delusions properly. Lena kept the note in her fist. This doesn't look like confusion. Marissa smiled. Careful, Lena. In this house, your notes can become evidence against you. Morning at the Vale mansion did not begin with coffee. It began with Marissa saying, Everyone, please sit. We need to discuss what happened last night. Lena stood in the doorway of the formal dining room with her caregiver notebook tucked against her chest. She had expected a care plan meeting. Victor's attorney sat at one end of the long, polished table, glasses low on his nose. Victor's physical therapist leaned beside a folder. Nora stood near the wall with 2 other staff members, hands folded, eyes down. Victor sat in his wheelchair beside the window. Marissa placed a printed report in the center of the table. This is unfortunate, she said, her voice soft enough to sound reasonable. But we need a record. Lena stepped closer. A record of what? Marissa looked at the attorney, not Lena. Miss Hart failed to administer my father's evening medication, became emotional when corrected, and was later found wandering through restricted rooms. Lena's mouth went dry. That's not true, she said. The medication was hidden before I found it. There was a tray in the linen closet. Marissa tilted her head. A locked linen closet. It was already open. And why were you searching cabinets on your first night? Marissa asked. Were you looking for linens or something more valuable? The attorney's pen stopped moving. Lena turned toward Nora. You saw the tray. Nora's lips parted, but no sound came out. Marissa gave her a gentle smile. Nora. The housekeeper lowered her eyes. I saw Miss Hart near the closet. Lena felt the room shift around her. She was no longer the desperate woman who had been offered shelter. She was the problem being discussed by people who controlled whether she had a bed tonight. Victor's hand twitched on the table. Marissa continued. Given Miss Hart's personal circumstances, I want to be compassionate, but instability around a vulnerable patient is dangerous. My personal circumstances, Lena said. Marissa's smile thinned. Your fiancé did call the agency, didn't he? To make sure we knew you were under stress. That landed publicly, in front of everyone. Lena looked at the attorney, then at the therapist, then at the staff who would not meet her eyes. No, Lena said, forcing her voice steady. You don't get to use my canceled wedding as proof I can't do my job. Victor, suddenly, dragged his hand across the table. The orange juice glass toppled. It hit the polished wood and burst across Marissa's folder. Everyone moved at once. Nora grabbed napkins. The therapist reached for Victor's sleeve. Marissa cursed under her breath and lifted the soaked papers. But Lena saw it. Beneath the incident report, the wet ink had bled through another page. A termination letter. Her name was typed near the top. Lena Hart. Below it, in darker letters, was a phrase that made the room tilt. Pattern of neglect. The date on the letter was not today. It was for the following week. Marissa snatched the folder closed, but the damage was done. Lena looked from the hidden letter to Victor. His eyes locked on hers, sharp and urgent, as if he had knocked over the glass on purpose. If Marissa had planned Lena's failure from the beginning, why choose Lena at all? By noon, Lena's name had been quietly removed from Victor's medication chart. Marissa did it in front of her. She stood at the nurse's station outside Victor's room, tapped the tablet twice, and said, Until further notice, you are not to administer medication, update care notes, or be alone with my father. Lena stared at the screen. Her access had changed from caregiver to assistant. You hired me to care for him. I hired you to follow instructions, Marissa said. You seem confused about the difference. An hour later, Lena's room key stopped working. The house manager called it a system error. Her phone charger vanished from the outlet beside her bed. No one admitted touching it. The message was not subtle. Leave quietly or be ruined loudly. That afternoon, during physical therapy, Lena stood near the study doorway while the therapist guided Victor through slow arm movements. Marissa watched from the hall, arms crossed. Grip the ball, Mr. Vale, the therapist said. Hold for 3 seconds. Victor's fingers tightened around the soft blue exercise ball. Then he dropped it. It bounced once, rolled past Lena's shoe, and stopped beside the study door. I'll get it, Lena said. As she bent down, she glanced into the dark glass of the cabinet beside the door. In the reflection, she saw Victor's room behind her, the mantel, the antique clock. And in the clock's ivory face, barely visible unless the light hit it right, was a tiny black lens. Lena went still. Victor had not only been warning her. He had been recording. She picked up the ball and returned it to him. His eyes met hers for half a second. Then his fingers tapped twice against the rubber. Tap, tap. Later, Nora found Lena in the laundry room and shut the door behind them. You saw it, didn't you? Nora whispered. The clock. Nora pressed a hand to her mouth, then nodded. After his first stroke, Mr. Vale had cameras installed. He said if his body failed him, the house would still speak. Does Marissa know? She knows about some, not all. Nora's voice trembled. After the second stroke, she changed passwords, fired old staff, took over his accounts. She's been pushing the attorney for expanded power of attorney. Lena's stomach tightened, and she needs me to look negligent. She needs someone disposable, Nora said. Someone with no family here, no home, no one people would believe over her. That night, Lena made the first decision since Daniel left that was not about surviving the next hour. She would not run. Nora gave her a spare key hidden inside an old sewing tin. Lena waited until the mansion settled into silence, then crossed the downstairs hall and unlocked Victor's private study. Inside, the desk computer woke with a low hum. Nora's old password worked on the third try. A folder opened. ARCHIVD camera files. Lena clicked the newest date. Before the video loaded, the study lights snapped on. Marissa stood in the doorway. Behind her were Victor's attorney and a security guard. "Well," Marissa said, "now we can add breaking into private files." Before Lena could answer, an alarm screamed from Victor's room. The alarm cut through the mansion like a blade. Lena turned toward the hall before Marissa could block her. "Victor," she said. The security guard reached for her arm, but the attorney snapped. "Wait, we all go." They ran upstairs together. Victor's bedroom door was open. He was slumped in his chair, breathing in short, hard pulls, one hand gripping the blanket. On the carpet below him, pills were scattered like tiny white beads. Marissa rushed in first. "This is exactly what I was afraid of," she said, pointing at Lena. "She was downstairs sneaking through private files while my father was suffering." Lena moved past her and knelt beside Victor. "Mr. Vale, look at me." His eyes opened halfway. Marissa turned to the guard. "Remove her." "No," Lena said sharply. "Check the labels." The room stopped. Lena picked up one of the fallen pill cups without touching the pills. "These are morning doses, not evening." She held it up for the attorney to see. "I was removed from medication duty before noon. I wasn't allowed near this tray." The attorney took the cup, his face tightening. "Nora," Lena said, "call emergency services, now." Nora pulled out her phone with shaking hands. Marissa stepped closer. "She is manipulating this. She has been unstable from the beginning." Victor's hand lifted. It shook violently, but he forced it down against the wooden armrest. Tap, tap. Nora froze. Then her eyes flew to the mantel. "The clock," she whispered. Marissa's face changed for the first time. "Nora," she warned. But Nora was already moving. She crossed the room, lifted the antique clock, and turned it over. Her fingers fumbled at the back panel until it popped loose. A small memory card slipped into her palm. The attorney opened his laptop on Victor's bedside table. No one spoke as Nora handed him the card. Marissa laughed once. "This is absurd." The first video loaded. There was Marissa, the night Lena arrived, sliding the silver medication tray behind the linen cabinet. The next clip showed her writing Lena's name on the torn care log page. The next showed the closet hallway, Lena inside, Marissa outside, one hand on the door, her phone at her ear. "She found it sooner than I expected," Marissa said from the laptop speakers. No one moved. The attorney clicked through file after file. Marissa deleting care notes from the house tablet. Marissa rehearsing a call about Lena's neglect. Marissa standing over Victor earlier that evening, scattering old pills onto the carpet while he watched from his chair, helpless and furious. Then her recorded voice filled the room. "By tomorrow, no one will believe anything you try to say." Victor's breath hitched. Lena looked at him, and for the first time, she understood the full cruelty of it. He had not been confused. He had been trapped inside a body that could not move fast enough or speak clearly enough to stop his own daughter from stealing his life piece by piece. Marissa reached for the laptop. The attorney pulled it away. "Don't," he said. That single word changed the room. Marissa's power cracked in front of everyone who had been afraid to challenge her. Nora stepped beside Lena instead of behind Marissa. The security guard lowered his hand from his belt and looked at the floor. Emergency responders arrived minutes later. Lena stayed close enough for Victor to see her, but far enough to let them work. When one paramedic asked who had handled the medication, the attorney answered before Marissa could. "That is under legal dispute," he said, "and I have video evidence." By sunrise, Marissa's access to Victor's accounts had been suspended. The attorney filed an emergency petition to block any change to power of attorney. Nora gave a formal statement. The security guard admitted Marissa had ordered him to watch Lena, not Victor. The paramedics documented the irregular doses, creating a medical record Marissa could not delete. The fallout spread beyond the mansion gates. The charity board removed Marissa from Victor's foundation pending investigation. Former staff members began calling Nora, finally ready to explain why they had left. Marissa stopped entering rooms like she owned the air inside them. When she was escorted out for questioning, Victor watched from his chair, pale but awake. Marissa looked once at Lena. "You don't belong here." Lena did not flinch. "Neither do your lies." Weeks later, Victor returned from a short medical stay with a new care attorney, restored household staff, and a contract waiting on the desk in his study. Lena read the title twice. Live-in care manager. Not temporary help, not disposable. A real position with salary, authority, and protections Marissa could no longer touch. Victor sat across from her, his hand resting near a fresh notepad. "You want me to stay?" Lena asked. Victor slowly picked up his pen. His letters were uneven, but clear. "Yes." Lena moved out of the small back room and into the bright guest suite overlooking the garden. She bought a new phone charger, unpacked her suitcase, and finally arranged her clothes in the wardrobe like someone planning to remain. One afternoon, Daniel sent a message. "Heard about the veil scandal. Are you okay?" Lena looked at it once, then deleted it. Downstairs, Victor tapped twice on the table to get her attention. Nora was setting out tea. Sunlight spread across the floor where Lena had once stood with a hidden tray and a future someone else had tried to destroy. She walked toward them without hesitation. Lena came to the mansion with nowhere else to go, but she stayed because she finally discovered who wanted her to fail and made sure they never had the power to do it again.